Welcome back. This thing I have in front of me here is a piece of night vision kit. I just, over the last couple of weeks, received clearance to use firearms mounted night vision for hunting and varminting. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. Normally I don't bother with rats. I get a couple of rabbits to eat and I do foxes around lambing season. But NVUK, StClare sent this out to me to test out, and I didn't know much about them because I've never used them. I've used the handheld spotters, the monocle type things, but I've never used a scope setup or anything that could be mounted. So I didn't really know what to expect, and it took a little bit of fiddling to get it right for me, because I'm so used to having my cheeks so low to the rifle. When you use these kits, you've got to be looking up into this screen more than down and through your scope. But when you get it, you get the camera, you get a tubes for your own scope size, you get the mounts for the screen, you get the battery, and you get all the wires to make it work. There's very little. Normally you only get 2 wires. You can ignore this red one, that's mine. You get this normal one, which is basically your on-off, plug it in and out to the battery. You can have a switch in there if you wish to make it nice and fast. And you get one other cable here that connects up to the screen. So that's it, 2 cables. I have extra cables because I was running an inline recorder. While I'm talking, I'm going to run the footage I've got on the screen at the same time, so you'll see the rats, the rabbits, and the foxes. And you'll see how decent this thing is, all the way up to 200 yards. I took rats at 25. I have taken rabbits 100 plus minus, and there was foxes getting out there near the 200 mark, and no problem seeing them. Now on a dark night you're going to have to use an extra illuminator, but we'll cover that in a minute. So back to front, very back of it here you have a box, and in this magic box there is a camera. You can see the top of the camera there. This camera is lined up perfectly with the insides of your scope. That's the first thing you really have to do, is get your alignment correct. Then there's a little locking ring inside the camera. You can get at it through a little hole here in the bottom. What you do is you just put it in to where you get a good size in your crosshair, and you're best to leave your zoom at whatever you normally zoom at. Now, or hunt at. I normally go from 10 to 12. The higher the zoom, the less light, the less IR light that can come back into it. So it does work better on lower zooms, but it worked fine for me with this Falcon M18, which is the older M18, not the Plus. They don't seem to have a lot of IR coatings, so it worked quite well. So you set it to whatever you normally hunt with. In my case, it's 10, 11. And you focus in the crosshair with the little focus ring that's in underneath here, and you have a little gap, as I said, in here to do it. So you loosen off the tension ring, zoom it into your crosshair so it's nice and focused, tighten up the ring again, and you never have to go at it anymore. That's it, done. So that's a 5-minute job at the very start. What I like to do is, once it's on, I generally bring up my cheek rest to fill in this gap underneath, so it doesn't have any movement, because on a 223, as you'll see in the video, just the recoil from a 223 was enough just to jar it around. Now, I actually had problems with my torch where the recoil was enough to turn off the torch, but that was I was using batteries that didn't have nubs on them, and they took up less space, so it was very easy for the batteries to connect and disconnect, which would have turned on and off the flashlight. So that's a problem that you probably wouldn't come into unless you're using the batteries that don't have the positive nub on it. So you have your camera inside the box. That's powered by your 12 volt power supply. You have a video analog out, which I was using for the inline recorder. You have your tube, which just keeps it in line and keeps everything nice and handy. You have your video out cable, which is going up here. It's not connected to anything. It's all soldered inside. There's no push connectors. That comes up to the back of this screen, and this screen itself is mounted on an upside down Picatinny rail with a Picatinny clamp on the bottom. There's a nice ball joint on top, so you can move it around to suit yourself. And it's light, so it doesn't move itself. It doesn't move around much or at all, really. So it's kind of just tight enough that if you do knock it, you're not going to break it off a mount. It's going to move before it breaks, which is nice. because going under fences and stuff with stuff hanging off your rifle, you don't really want to catch it on your elbow or catch it on the fence and leave half of it behind. But that's basically the kit. And then after that, you can get an IR illuminator, which is just like a standard Cree flashlight with a focusable head. The heads can come in different sizes, but it has an invisible light to us. It has an IR pill inside in it. So it goes on top of here on this Picatinny rail, or anywhere else you have a Picatinny rail, or anywhere else you want to mount it. It has windage and elevation adjustment screws on the mount, so you can bring it up, down, left, right. So when you're looking through for the first time, you get your focus, so you get a nice crisp image of the bulb, and you set it up so it's looking at where you want it. I suggest around 80 because that'll get you a good shine out to 200 and into 25. You won't have to adjust it up or down. But once that's on for the darker nights, that's basically it. So after using it and taking out quite a few rats, which have been driving me mad in the back, they were in the backyard of my house, and it was just terrible trying to get them with the flashlight. They were too skittish, but with the IR, they kind of, I noticed the animals, they do see the IR, but they don't care about it as much as a torch. The foxes would stop, they might come in, check it out for a little bit, then if they're very skittish or they've been lamped and missed before, they'd run. If they were new, they just continue doing what they're doing. Yeah, you just kind of go on your way. What we actually did was we had a normal flashlight, a big Cree spotter, and we'd find it, turn off the light really quick, then go to night vision. We also had on this, which isn't on it now either, we had a wireless video sender. So the person, your spotter, could actually see what you see in the scope, so we could keep an eye and know where it dropped, so we can go and get it later. That's all possible. It's all very simple. It's all just analog video. If you've ever worked on anything like that, it's very cheap and very easy to convert it to wireless, to convert it to video recorders and everything. So it's quite versatile. Yeah, I found it really good for the short range stuff. The medium range around 200. Once I was getting out further, it was hard to get edge details past 220. Like you could see it and you knew it was a fox, but unless I was 100% certain, I wouldn't take the shot. Like, I know it's not going to be a cat and it's not going to be a dog. It's a fox, but if I can't really see the outline of them properly, I wouldn't take the shot. And that's another good point as well. When you're using it, you want to have it in ground that you know well in the daytime, because you can't see past that 300. It's not like a lamp. You can't just turn it up and say, oh, I can see the cliffside behind it. It's black after the IR starts to filter out at a certain distance and there's no reflection anymore. But it's a fantastic piece of equipment. It is cheap. I put the price up on screen, but for an entry-level kit, it does a lot of stuff. Now, if you're onto small vermin stuff, rats and rabbits, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, especially on something that's a low recoil. I had it on the 1022, and that thing was just click, done. There was no noise, no hassle, no mess. Well, the rats are a bit messy. On an air rifle, I stuck it on a Theoban just to try it out, and there's less kick. It was just amazing. It was like tick. You could see the pellet flying out with the reflection off the back of the IR on the back of the pellet, and that was it. It would drop what you're shooting at. There's no hassle. You do start getting into a little bit of problems. I put it on the 308. There's just too much recoil. There's too much stuff hanging off. You'd need to have really, really secured to get it onto a bigger rifle. So a 223 suppressed has no recoil really. That's brilliant. A heavy 223. Rimfires, HMRs, 17 Hornets, stuff like that, the smaller cases. Fantastic for this. If you're going bigger, there's probably slightly better options out there for you. But for an entry level, clip-on night vision, and it comes off super quick. Like you're done. You just undo the side here. If I can get it off. That's the screen off. As you can see, the mount stays on the scope, and the night vision itself just pulls off the back. This pouch here actually comes with it, and that's it. That's the whole kit there: battery, camera, screen, and a pouch to hold everything, which is really nice. And you're back to your standard setup. All you gotta do is redo your cheek rest. As for scopes, I've tried this with the Falcon optics. 4-14 was fine. The original M18 was fine, and the M18 Plus was fine as well. So pretty much the exact same. Now there are a load of scopes out there that can take it. As I said, the Hawks, the older Night Force, the Hawk scopes. I think just about all of their range does it really well. They're nice and light in their coatings. I'd imagine things like Delta and stuff will work fine as well. But yeah, it's kind of all down to your scope. If you're running like I don't know, let's say a Razor or one of the new Night Force or brand new scope of any type really that's costs, let's say, 1,000 or more, you're probably not going to get the best out of a rear mounted night vision just because of the IR coatings. You're just going to need an awful lot of IR source light to up it to the quality we'll get off the lesser scopes, the cheaper scopes. But that's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's very easy to use. It does what it says in the box. It is fantastic for medium short range varmints, rabbits, rats. So I'd just like to say thanks to Eddie StClare from Night Vision UK for sending over the demo unit to test out. It is a really good piece of kit. The lamp was really nice as well. And all the accessories to mount it are good and solid. There's no real cheap mounts or anything like that. There's no plastic, no 3D printed bits like that. It's all really well done. So thanks again, Eddie. I'm going to put all the details below to how to get in contact with Eddie and how to get yourself one of these rear mounted night visions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.